Okay, I'm live. And can I hear I'm live. And can I hear I'm
The answer is yes. I can hear myself, and the important thing now is that I stop hearing myself. Alright, welcome back. We're doing the same thing again. This was terrible. I got into the nether and then died. Incidentally, I did some runs off camera, and, well, it definitely helped. I got into the nether 2 more times, and I died attempting to collect resources there 2 more times. I also went and reviewed the footage from Dream's record-breaking speedrun for, I think it was 1.15. And now that I've done this a few times myself, I can appreciate his technique a bit more than I could at the start of the weekend. I don't have a guest with me today, so I'm going to have to make my own fun in terms of running commentary. I see we have no viewers as yet, but in the event that anyone comes back to review this footage, welcome! What am I looking at here? We've got ocean, we've got savannah, there's a sheep over there. Let's get to it. The other thing I went and looked at was Technoblade's highlight reel from his run with the steering wheel. And one of the big takeaways from that, I think, is that you can get in under 10 hours, provided you're willing to grind for better weapons and armor than I've been trying to do this with. But as I said to James on Saturday, the goal here is to get all of this done in under, what was it? Under 2 hours. That was what I'm shooting for, at least initially. So let's find us a hole in the ground. And is that a desert over there? I think that's a desert over there. That could be useful. But we found this first, so down into the hole we go. Well, I don't like the look of this one bit. The main source of overworld deaths for me in these runs has been not PvP with individual monsters, but getting myself, I'd say, overextended into areas where I can be outflanked by multiple monsters at once. The leading source of death in the Nether is fairly similar. Although in that case, I'd say there's a slightly better odds on the mobs just getting me, into a position where I am not able to see their approach. It's not necessarily they outflank me, it's that they just maneuver better. A more general case of the same specific phenomena. Hey! Well, I've got to say, that is fairly lucky right off the bat. Let's light them up, boys. We don't have any boys yet. Wait, do we have any boys? I'm seeing one viewer. Hi, viewer. Say hi in the chat. Tell me who you are. Why you're doing this. Is it one of my followers? Is it just me? probably just me. Solipsism do be like that sometimes. Yeah, we don't want to go down there. Gotta remember to install Optifine. All the cool MLG speedrunner guys on the website that tracks speedrunning say they use Optifine. So at least from the perspective of the speedrunning people, the use of a client modded to include Optifine is apparently not hacked enough to throw off your speedrun. An interesting revelation, to be certain. In the event that I end up having to make my own fun for the entire time I'm down here, I did in fact have a small list of things I wanted to be sure to mention. But I would prefer to answer audience questions in the event that we get an audience. Oh right, and with regards to the whole, speedrunning scandal kerfuffle about Dreams Run, my view on the subject has been adequately summarized by Philza. I understand that things have happened, but I don't understand how they worked out in the end. Nope, doesn't look like I walked past any ores down this way so far. I'm really interested in the idea of digging tunnels in real life. There is a YouTube channel about a YouTube channel that is a group of people who are documenting the process of digging labyrinthine tunnels through sandstone somewhere down in the States. I think they've got a name like Tunnels Unlimited or something to that effect. It was a rather interesting look at things. And it made me appreciate that sandstone is actually a lot easier to work just with hand tools than I'd previously thought. Like, what we're doing here in Minecraft is probably pretty unrealistic if you're looking at any stone harder than sandstone, I think. But at the same time, it probably wouldn't be all that unrealistic for sandstone. I mean, you know those primitive technology knockoff channels where a couple of guys will go out into the woods and build an overly elaborate hut for themselves? There's a lot of different ones doing that nowadays, but in particular, I cannot think for the life of me what it was actually called in particular. But the point is, I'm pretty sure those guys are basically just going at ground that, if it's not sandstone, then it must be some sort of very compacted sediment. I used to think that that's just what it was extremely packed dirt, but now I'm wondering if perhaps it might be sandstone. since they're clearly working it with metal tools. I'll see if I can find the channel I'm thinking of at some point so that I can post it in the description of the video. I should specify that is in fact different from Tunnels Unlimited. Tunnels Unlimited are some sort of, some variety of American. But the guys I was thinking of who are digging these overly elaborate huts in, sedimentary rock, I think those guys are, probably from India, judging by what the climate where they are and what they look like. Well, we should have a decent number of arrows by the end of all this, but in the short term, I need to first get some food. I did not think that stage of this through. And I'm hoping that is in fact dawn. It is not. Okay, we need to find sheep in a hurry then. Okay, back to the hole. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Fortunately, I have found the hole. So something that didn't come up in Saturday's stream when I was talking to James, or Lead, is the fact that although he may be making part of his living out of writing fiction, he's not the only one of us who has tried writing stories. I have been trying to do that on and off for basically ever since I finally got the hang of the whole reading and writing thing. Mostly off. Much of it highly derivative. The first story I ever tried to write, I tried to write it when I was... oh geez, how old would I have been? Probably around 10. I tried writing my first story when I was 10. And more specifically, it was, how should I describe it? Let's start with the inspiration. So, for those of you who remember when you had to go to a store to rent videos and rent video games, Blockbuster was not the only name in that industry. The local shop here in my hometown was LJ Video. Never found out what that stood for. But LJ Video had a huge rack of video games that they had for rent right up near the counter. So you could go browsing their slightly musty shelves for videos if you were there for that. But if you were like me, and you idolized all of your friends who had their own video game consoles, then the real object of interest was the video games that they had for rent. And I remember that right front and center in my attention, at least, might have just been because it was at the correct height. There was the GameCube copy of Skies of Arcadia Legends for rent. For those of you who know that, the cover of this edition, it wasn't Vise, Ica, and Fina standing together. It was just Vise standing on the deck of a ship that was clearly flying. A wooden tall ship flying through the damn sky. And to me, that was just about the coolest looking thing ever. Why is this man wearing a glass eye patch? We may never know, but by God, it looked cool. So later that year, as a part of the ongoing effort by my parents to get me to read and or write more often, they made me a deal. And looking back on it, it was an incredibly easy deal, but the fact that they had to... the fact that they thought that this deal was the benchmark of acceptable effort speaks volumes about how disinclined to read and write I was at that age. They said, you will write us 50 essays that are 50 words long. And this would be enough to earn a GameCube. So, little 10-year-old me plugged away at it. I think it must have taken me the better part of an entire year to get through that. But I did eventually get through it. And, I never actually owned a copy of Skies of Arcadia Legends. We'd just rent it from LJ Video. The first game I ever... Oh, hello. I will consider clicking that Zalgo text when you follow me, my unicorn 20,002. Frankly, I am insulted by the transparent bot attempt. I'm pretty sure I could program something better than that. I mean, it's what I'm going to school for, is programming things better than that, but at the same time, it's a low bar to clear. Why would you use Zalgo text for something like that? That's just objectively terrible in every conceivable way. If you're trying to sell something to people, you're supposed to be trying to come across as trustworthy, honest, and like a person who has a worthwhile product to sell. Using Zolgotex, you look like a goddamn teenaged edgelord. I hope for your sake that whoever it is that programmed that bot is the same person operating it, because if I were the person operating that robot, and I were to find that the person I'd programmed, or the person that I'd paid to program it, had used Zolgotext as part of their marketing, then first I would demand my money back, and then I would eject that programmer from my premises with extreme prejudice. Think Sir Harry King tossing the dwarf down the effing stairs in Raising Steam. At least I think it was a dwarf. Did he fire the dwarf earlier, or was it that he fired the dwarf accountant then? Somebody watching this back has to figure that out for me. Was the accountant that Sir Harry, or was the accountant, or was the person that Sir Harry King fired at the start of Raising Steam, was that person a dwarf, or was it that he had previously employed a dwarf in an earlier book? Important questions we need to ask, chat. Yeah, so whoever's back of that account, know that your advertising campaign has failed. Actually, you know what? I've probably got a ban button somewhere here. I'll be sure to ban that person from my chat and report them for spam. Yeah, that'll show them. Would you believe, viewer, viewing this, distant from me in both time and space, that this is actually the first time I've had my finger on the trigger of moderator privileges? I do not habitually seek power over other people. Which you might not believe if you'd met me as a teenager. I was hell-bent on taking over the world in my teens. Similar motivations to the ones I've got now, but different core philosophies. Back in my teens, I wanted to take over the world because I thought it could be more sensibly organized by me. Nowadays, I think that the only sensible way to run the world would be to prevent horrifically nosy busybodies from intruding into the lives of other people. That statement has about 1,000,000 asterisks on it, but I think it holds up. Mostly with regards to things like, how should I put this? I don't think it is proper to legislate victimless behavior out of existence. I think it is far more morally desirable that I think it is far more morally desirable that bad behavior be the subject of removal by social pressure. that might sound like I'm contradicting my earlier statements about keeping busybodies from interfering in one another's lives, but here's the thing. Social pressure should only work in a situation where social pressure would only work in a situation where everybody is applying the same moral standards. So for instance, if we start peer pressuring one another to not use drugs, and I've got to say, actually, that the push for that sort of thing has, at least in my own generation, seemed to be moderately successful, so congratulations to the Canada Public Health Authorities on their Most Kids Don't campaign to prevent the use of tobacco products. But social pressure of that sort should, and I think does, only work in cases where everyone is applying a similar moral standard. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh man, you shouldn't be eating pasta. Nobody does that. It's weird. It's aberrant. Don't do it, you freak." Somebody comes up to me and says that, then the correct answer, at least from where I'm standing, is, how come? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you think that? You fool. You damn madman. And I think something similar is the case in just about any other situation. So to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, Unicorn 20,002. Why are you using Zolgotext in your targeted advertising? Cringe! Cringe! I cringe at your ineptitude. If James was here, he'd be cringing at you too. James could come up with a better advert campaign for that purpose in his sleep. Cringe! Need to get more wood. I forgot to get more wood, chat. Cringe! I should have seen that coming. Wood's a scarce resource. Or, not necessarily a scarce resource, but, you know, a resource that needs to be managed in this game. Oops. Now that I think about it a bit, I think we should apply peer pressure to get people to stop screaming cringe on their Twitch streams. It's actually an extremely unpleasant way to apply social pressure from the standpoint of the person viewing it from the outside. I see people doing this, and I think to myself, is this really the best way you could think to apply peer pressure to mitigate unwanted behavior? So how would we be better off if we were to forsake the use of cringe as a tool of social pressure? I'd say that we'd be better off because if we stopped using a sort of knee-jerk mimetic approach and actually explained our reasons for finding things cringe, that we would improve the quality of our discourse, and we would set a positive example for how we should want to communicate with one another. Cringe is a purely emotive reaction to undesirable behavior. You're popping off saying, I am responding to this with cringe. You're not saying, everyone says that there is cringe, but no one ever says why a certain thing is cringe. There you go. That's the essence of my position. We should want to explain to people why they are cringe, not just that they are cringe. And we should want to do that specifically because it improves not just the quality of people who take our advice to heart, but also it improves our own qualities. It's a matter of self-improvement and having some self-respect. You say to your audience, in essence, I am a person who is willing to take the time and effort to express myself fully and in complete, uncompromised terms. I don't have to rely on a mimetic shorthand to get my feeling through as a vibe. I don't have to rely on my listeners vibing in the same way that I'm vibing in order to get my point across. So with regards to this advertiser, I would say that his attempt to market to me, or let's not discriminate on gender, their attempt to market to me is, let's see here, they say, want to become famous, buy followers, primes, and viewers on link bigfollows.com. And they've used Zalgo text for that. So what I see here is an undisguised attempt at advertising to me. And it's not addressing any of my pain points. So they're not taking cognizance of me. They're assuming that I will have already reached the conclusion that my problems can be solved by their product before they even asked me any questions about it. They assume I'm a person who mindlessly chases social approval. Without regards to the standards of the people who have social approval. There's what this is going for. The people who will click through that link are... They're like Gale Winan in The Fountainhead, except that they are a lot dumber than he is. That is the target that is the target audience of that advertisement. Gale Winan, but dumb. Dumb but ambitious people who think that the solution to all of their problems is simply to get an audience, not specifically the audience that is best suited to their purposes. And we're not like that, chat. R.I.P. to Tommy Innit, but I'm built different. Damn it. Yeah, I'm built different from Tommy Innit, in that Tommy Innit would not have had that happen to him. Probably. He's been doing this a lot longer than I have.
How long have we been streaming for here? 37 minutes!
Jeez. That's awful. Alright. Once more. With feeling. On the to-do list for future iterations, install Optifine, put up a better system for being aware of chat doing things, and install a chat overlay, which will probably be more useful once I have more people than unwise advertisers attempting to interact in chat. For those of you who may never have read The Fountainhead, Gale Winan is a newspaper executive. He started out as an errand boy in the copy room of a second-rate newspaper, and eventually rose to be a reporter, and then a editor, and then he made a deal with some unsavory business tycoons whereby they bought a newspaper in his name, but then I believe he double-crossed them and got the newspaper not just in his name, but free and clear. Free and clear of their influence, and he used it to sink them. But once he was completely in editorial control of his own newspaper, he ran 2 stories side by side, soliciting donations from his readership. One was the story of a young scientist who was in need of funding for vital research, and the other one was for, I believe it was an irresponsible single mother who had fallen on hard times, but don't quote me on that. I would encourage you to read the book for yourself and look it up. But basically, the idea was to demonstrate... The idea behind running these 2 stories seeking donations was to demonstrate, not to the readership, but to his own editorial staff, what kinds of stories gain sympathy. And he basically came right out and told them that the his newspaper, the New York Banner, was always going to do whatever it took to get the most views. Holy cats, there's an incomplete portal here. Nice. Let's hope it's got some sweet loot. Random number generator, I am disappointed. We can work with this, but, you know, you could have done better. I do not know, chat, whether the crying obsidian can be used to make a nether portal. It might be worth our time to find out. However, I am far more concerned with finding a wide open space with a great deal of wandering food sources. And as we all know, iron is more plentiful in the Low Countries, where the sea meets the plains. Oh, there's a covered forest over there. Interesting. Not terribly relevant to the strategy that I am endeavoring to employ, however. There you go. That's there's an idea for how to explain the problem in common with this robot advertiser and Gale Winan, is that the audience that they would produce is the kind of audience whose intellectual horizons do not extend beyond clickbait. And it is not my ambition to have an audience that is limited by the intellectual horizons of clickbait. I would like an audience who understands everything I say most of the time, or at least can ask an intelligent question for due clarification. What the heck kind of hole in the ground is that? Frostwalker. Does that do what I think it does? It does! Ooh. Nifty. Huh. Need to look up how that enchantment works. There's some iron, though. As I think about it a bit more, when I myself used cringe earlier in the stream as a put down against this advertising robot, the influence that I guess I was consciously channeling was Technoblade. However, upon some further reflection on the subject, I think that using cringe that way is only objectionable because it is an attempt, or because it can be an attempt at social pressure without a well-founded and well-integrated argument behind it. I don't think we will have too much of a problem in using modern internet slang the rest of the time. Although I would like to know the origins of more of it. Like, T-Mac explained to me where the term POG came from, but, well, he partially explained to me where the term POG came from. But one of the things not included in his explanation was, how its original usage was, how the original usage came to be. I do not understand exactly how the early uses of POG were supposed to be taken. And I have not seen any sheep yet. And that's worrying because I'm this close to the coastline. I am going to get every part of my ass handed to me by that drowned right there. So yeah, I don't see any problems with cringe and POG as emotive exclamations, as long as we bear in mind that that's what they are. They aren't a substitute for an argument. They're an expression of a feeling. As long as we all bear that in mind, I think everything should be, relatively speaking, fine. I'd call that a clutch victory, unfortunately. I don't think it counts as clutch if you got yourself into the situation where you had to pull something like that off by your own incompetence. Alright, so we've only got a limited hole in the ground, we've got minimal resources to be carrying on with, and we are almost certainly surrounded by things that want to kill us. So the completion attempt is going great. Still not quite as bad as the time I spawned in the middle of an ocean biome on Sunday. How are we doing for depth? Terrible. Well, let's head on down and see what we can see. Still got enough iron for another pick and a sword. Actually, you know what? That's a good idea. I want a sword. Make the tools before you need them so you don't find yourself in a situation where you need tools but don't have them. Yeah, that's how this works. Better to have tools and not need them than to need them and not have them. It's like why I did Kung Fu all those years. It turned out to not be very helpful in the end. Sort of abandoned me when I needed it the most, but these things happen. We learn and we live. That wasn't a reversal, by the way. The more important thing is that we learn in order to live. It's axiomatic that if you aren't living, you can't learn. But the reverse is also true. If you don't learn, you don't live. I don't think there are many truly illiterate people in first world countries these days, but I can tell you this, without having met any of them, they are certainly the worse off. An interesting example of that kind of uncritical, unthinking social pressure that I saw recently. I was chatting with my mom, and she mentioned an article she had read, and she later sent me the link for it. It was an article titled something to the effect of "Are Americans Sociopaths?" And it was looking at the recent events in the United States, particularly with regards to electoral politics in general, and the riots instigated by former President Donald Trump in particular. But it was also looking at the nature and influence of gun culture, and things that the author found as inconceivable as take your AR to Starbucks Day. And to be clear, I am in favor of an individual's rights to own firearms. However, I do think that places of business would be, relatively speaking, well advised to bar people who carry heavy anti-personal firearms into their establishments. That said, the reason I bring up that article in connection with the topic of social pressure is because it was sort of like shouting cringe on the grand scale. There was very little in terms of meaningful content to that article. It was almost entirely phrases like, "We all know that there is something fundamentally wrong with Americans. They're weird in an unsavory kind of way." And I thought to myself, none of that is self-evident. Not only is it not self-evident that there is something deeply wrong with all Americans who are pro-gun, not only is that not self-evident, it is also not self-evident that this is a opinion widely held by any group of people. The author was just making flat assertions about it. That's the part of it that I really dislike, is the flat assertions without evidence. If you ever catch me doing that, please call me out on it immediately. Because although I dislike it and try not to do it, I also find that I am hardly perfect in this respect. So if I ever tell you that something is self-evident, I expect you to hold my feet to the fire and make me back that up. For instance, it is self-evident that when I got down here, this place was just lousy with mobs. And from the sound of it, oh, yeah, that'd be why. It's a ravine. They're all dropping out of the dang ceiling. Ooh. Come on up here. I want to cut your face off. Okay, that's a decent enough escape route. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. If If you apply yourself in good faith, one day you too can get stabbed in the face. So there's a part of me that is thinking right now about sight reading and how you go about dealing with a situation like this. I'd say what I'm doing right now is pretty typical of what I had been doing during my previous attempts. I hole myself up in a corner where they can't get at me, and I swipe away at them from within cover. And then, you know, stuff like that occasionally happens, but it's usually something that can be mitigated. That said, we are now once again getting low on food, and I don't foresee a high likelihood of being able to find food down here. I mean, maybe if we find a chest full of bread.
Where are we at?
1 hour in. 1 hour in? That's like, what, 23 minutes just trying to get this hole in the ground to work? I see it's daytime, though. Let us proceed to find food. What I'd really like is to find a village. Because if I could find a village, there'd be a bell there. And one thing I have always found amusing about Technoblade's live streams is the inclusion of a timer for running out the clock on when he next has to ring the sellout bell. I was saying to T-Mac we should come up with a redstone contraption that allows us to ring huge numbers of sellout bells all at the same time. That's where the real money's at. After all, how will they know you're a professional if you don't frequently tell them that they need to hit every button in existence? Smash the subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications. Follow me on Twitch. Press all the buttons. Do it. Do it now. That one viewer is probably me, but someday it might not be. There just really isn't a lot around here. Shame. We're gonna relocate a bit while we've got the daylight. Gonna need to make a iron axe at the earliest convenience, because this is ridiculous. I guess Frostwalking 1 has to do with the intensity of it. It'll freeze your path up to a certain point. Or up to a certain duration, maybe. Then it needs a cooldown before the next time it can start freezing water blocks for you to speed your passage. I can see it being much more useful in swamps, where you get the interplay of dirt and water. Finally! Sheep! Pigs. Let me consume the rapturous pork chops. Pork chops and roast mutton. Mutton today, mutton yesterday, and blimey if it don't look like mutton again tomorrow. I'm probably more familiar with that line from the PC video game of The Hobbit than I am from the actual book The Hobbit. That was chapter 2 of The Hobbit, right? Roast mutton? It was the second level of the video game. Then they turned they made an entire level out of the search for the troll hole. And they give Bilbo a lot more to do in the Goblin Town episode. It's like, yes, you've been separated from the dwarves, but the entire business of the chapter, Riddles in the Dark, was mostly taken up by traversing goblin mining operations. Which always struck me as a bit strange. Do the goblins actually do mining in the canon works written by Tolkien? Or is that like strictly an extended universe kind of deal? Where they say, oh yeah, goblins, they live underground, they must do some digging. And then my friend Azzy will come on and be like, actually no, goblins do not do any mining whatsoever. I shouldn't put words in her mouth, she's not here to actually comment on the subject. Time for a bed. That's a hole. Much better looking hole. A hole with iron in it. Not that we need too much more iron right at this instant. What we need is torches. Philosophy's just math sans rigor, sense, and practicality, and math's just physics unconstrained by precepts of reality. A business major just a thing you get so you can graduate, and chemistry's for stamp collectors high on methyl acetate. Why anyone who wants a job would study lit's a mystery, unless their only other choice were something like art history. A BA in communication guarantees that you'll achieve a little less than if you'd learned to underwater basket weave. I don't actually know the rest of the lyrics to Every Major's Terrible, but I would encourage you to look them up, because even though it started out as an issue of the webcomic XKCD, it nevertheless got adapted into a full choir adaptation by, I believe it was the choir at SFU. Don't know if that's Simon Fraser University or some other group with the initials SFU. Okay, well, that That was an unconscionably near miss. Let's hide. Yeah. We're playing it safe. I chose hardcore on purpose. I'm not regretting my life decisions. You know, I sometimes wonder about the popularity of Hamilton. Yeah, the songs in it are definitely bangers. But at the same time, what else has it got going on for it, really, when you get right down to it? Is it just that people find the characters that compelling? I wouldn't have expected that sort of response from a historical drama. It might just be my prejudice against historical dramas, but it's not much of a prejudice, really. Like I said, it's only sometimes that I wonder about it. It's not like these are the things that keep me up at night. The things that keep me up at night are mostly to do with the questions of philosophy that relate directly to artificial intelligence. Like, what exactly is free will? I think I know the answer to that question, but that just raises the questions of how it could be implemented in a machine. Is it necessary for human types of thought that free will, as we experience it, be included? I think so. Not only do I think that human beings possess a faculty that can be described as free will, not only do I think we have it, I think it is actually necessary for human-level thought. I do not have any string yet. I should probably hunt some spiders. And I should anticipate running out of my pick and my sword in the not too distant future. Yeah, that'll do it. And we're not cooking any more iron at the moment, so I should definitely think about picking up any of that I see. I'm sort of grappling with two essential playstyles. On the one hand, there's the playstyle that says it's well, there's the playstyle which is appropriate for speedrunning, or, you know, completing the game in even what I'd consider to be a reasonable amount of time. At least I did consider it a reasonable amount of time until I saw the speedrunning leaderboards for Minecraft. Like, if you can get in under 2 hours, I think, under 2 hours, and you can secure a spot in, like, the top 1,000? If you can do it in under 1 hour, you're definitely in the top 500. And if you can do it in under... If you can do it in under 39 minutes, but still taking more than 38 minutes, then I can tell you for a fact that you'll snag slot number 69. Even my mind goes there sometimes. We all wondered. How do we want to do this? Weird. I think I hear the spider noises. That wasn't a very good impression of spider noises. I apologize. I will commit Sudoku. Where'd he go? Yeah, this is exactly the kind of situation I don't want to find myself in. Overextending into a dark room with lots of corridors. Miss me with that kind of a misadventure. Wow. I mean, I guess the good news, if you can call it that, is a cave system this elaborate. There's bound to be diamonds down here if we get low enough. I'm betting you we're under the sea. I shouldn't say that. I'm not actually betting you. I still haven't learned all the lyrics to the Weller Man, but I can't, I can sing a much longer and somewhat stranger song. It's a ballad. The Ballad of Stan Long. I can't remember just at the moment who wrote it, It's not a sea shanty, it's a space shanty, which means it's not folk music, it's filk music. I don't know if any of you are familiar with filk music. It all started when some college newspaper misprinted folk music as filk music when describing songs that people had written in the style of folk music, but with lyrics that pertained to things that very definitely had not happened. And perhaps you will understand why when I dive in to the ballad of Stan Long. I've drunk to his health in 100 bars, from Beetlejuice to the sands of Mars, and I'll drink to his health again if you'll just buy. I knew Stan Long for 30 years, that's less than 100,000 beers, and I'll tell you his sad story if you promise not to cry. Stan Long, he was a mighty fightin' man, but fightin' wasn't really his forte. He loved 100 girls on a half 100 worlds, and he loved them in a most peculiar way. Well, I met Stan Long on the white-hot sands of Perrin's world, where murderous bands of aliens tried to kill us all with blasters, swords, and steel. We fought back to back for 7 days, fought steel with steel and rays with rays, till the Corps came in on the 7th day and made the aliens yield. Now, Perrin's world is a terrible place where they put all the dregs of the human race, but it's a place where you can get yourself a girl or a boy or a drink. So Stan and I retired that day to a cool dark dive on the side of a bay of sulphurous water colored one unnatural shade of pink. We sat down to drink some beers, drank all of them, and then I fear drank all the wine and rum and scotch and gin tequila too. The world was in an awful whirl when I said, Stan, I need a girl, and Stan poured something green and said, well, I'll take 2. Stan Long, he was a mighty drinkin' man, but drinkin' wasn't really his forte. He loved 100 girls on a half 100 worlds, and he loved them in a most peculiar way. Well, I looked at him with wild surmise, tried to focus my bleary eyes, and I said, Stanley, stop a minute, think of where we are. Those girls are built like sides of beef, all muscles, bone, and claws and teeth. When they get through with you, there'll be some moaning at the bar. Well, Stan just smiled and drank his green and told me, Joe, you think you've seen about all there is to see in terms of sexual relations. But I'll take me to these Perrin chicks. I'll take them and I'll get my kicks, and they'll pay me for my peregrinations. Well, I sighed as I watched him go, and got myself a gal named Mo, who seemed the gentlest out of that not-too-gentle lot. But her biceps were the size of either of my thighs, and the strongest muscles on her, those were not. I spent a day or two in traction, then went back to get some action, because I'd heard a ship come in with beer and booze. I went back to that sleazy dive, didn't expect to see Stan alive. To shack up with 2 Perrin dames is not the death I'd choose. I walked into that sleazy dive. I didn't expect to see Stan alive. But there he was, in the middle of the floor, surrounded by those He-Man whores who looked at him with lovelight in their roomy, bloodshot eyes. Stan Long, he was a mighty fightin' man, but fightin' wasn't really his forte. He loved 100 girls on a half 100 worlds, and he loved them in a most peculiar way. Oh geez, how did the next verse go? And I said to him, Stan, the least of this unholy crew put me in bed, then in traction too. I can't but help to wonder what you have that I ain't got. It's really easy to explain, said Stan, who felt no lick of pain, but let me wait to tell you when I think the time is right. The secret of what makes... When I explain to my fellow men the secret of what makes me win, well, some they laugh, and some they cry, and some it leads to fight. You might belong to the latter bunch, although you don't, I have a hunch, but just in case, I'd like a chance to even up our score. I've been drinking heavily since after midnight, 2 or 3. You owe me 20 beers. Drink up, don't pay, it's on the whores. Well, the girls, they brought me 20 beers and favored me with lurid leers. As soon as I would gulp one down, they'd put another in my mitt. By 17 or 18, I was feeling higher than the sky, but knew that sooner or later I'd have to go and take a piss. See, spacermen have a tradition, that no matter your condition, the first poor boy to leave the bar is the one who pays the round. And though the whores were buying it, tradition is tradition. Shit, I'd cross my teeth and grit my legs and never give up ground. That was not an error. Stan noticed my discomfort, and he ordered me some rum for it. And then he laughed and said, "All right, I don't think you're fit to fight." Then he laughed and said, "All right, I don't think you're fit to fight. I'll walk you to the outhouse, arm in arm, it's only fair." Now the atmosphere on Perrin's world is enough to rot your teeth, so the scent inside the outhouse was a positive relief. They had 3 piss tubes in the wall so as not to slow the crew. I took the first one on the left, and Stan took the other 2. Stan noticed I was staring and remarked of his bipartite gland. 2 heads is better than 1 is what the ancient sages say. But put yourself in my position. Empathize with my condition. I'd rather have the love of 1 good woman any day. 1. Well, Stan and I, we roamed the stars, fightin' wars and wreckin' bars. For 20 good long years we blazed a rough and randy trail, and if police we underrated, we would sleep incarcerated. But like as not, 3 females would come by and make our bail. The ending of this story is a moral in a poor way that 2 plus 2 can equal 4 or 6 or even 8. And no matter how many women come through your life, you'll find the one just made for you. That's love, that's luck, or if you choose, that's fate. We were busting up a carnival on Io when Stan spied a girl with lovely eyes and teeth, 4 legs, and other charms. He went and asked the obvious, she answered yes, and that poor cuss, he laughed, he cried, he wept, he swept her in his arms. They were married that December by a drunken priest named Captain Bligh, and settled down to work upon a yeast farm in Des Moines. Now Iowa is kind of dull, you've seen one yeast, you've seen them all, so by August the first pair of twins had sprang from out their loins. Doesn't really rhyme with Des Moines. Much to his surprise, Stan found he liked the little guys, and about August the next year they came up with another pair. 2 more children came next May, and then Stanley, sad to say, had to get vasectomized. The law on Earth is stern but fair. Now anytime I condescend to go to Earth, I see my friend up to his ass in diapers or putting girls and boys through school. Yeah, the girls all have 2 legs. The boys half that many pegs. Such unstable mutations seldom follow Mendel's rules. Stan Long, he was a mighty lovin' man, but he settled in a quiet country place. 7 bedrooms well appointed, and not mentioning Des Moines. It has a bathroom that's unique in all of space. Guess I'm a bit rusty on that one. We shall have to work at it. Stretch. That's an important thing to do, stretching. I'd like to get myself one of those standing desks. And not just because my chair here has seen better days. Things that make you go, hmm. So how do we want to proceed from here? We could keep mining. It'd probably be alright. We've got food, we've got iron. I could try going straight to the Nether again. It hasn't worked out well for me, but it's not as though just going there was enough to kill me. I've always died after I get into hunting the mobs. This is the hard difficulty. So I think I should probably make a point of looking out for some diamonds first. That seems reasonable. Let's just make sure this place is a little easier to find next time. Hi there. We do not get his bow. RNG, I am disappointed. In case any of you is wondering, I had hoped to wait until I was asked about this, but in the event that any of you are wondering, the use of the deer god as my channel's logo, I don't like the look of this, not one bit. The use of the deer god icon is a surprise tool that will help us later. That's what it is. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. Take this, Pete Moss. Yeah, okay, that's all been dealt with. We should wall off the exit to this. Same place. I know I've gotten lost in here before. There has to be more space. I'm pretty sure I actually backed out of one such place that I've been to already. Is this the monstrous deep hole in the ground? No, this is the dead end that I had found previously. Wall it up! And I see that we've been live for about another half hour there. So that's... yeah, 1 hour 37 minutes. That means I have been on this world for about an hour. Which means it's about that time again. Me. Subscribe to me. Ha ha ha. You fools thought I was going to sing another song. I am not writing a song about subscriptions, unless somebody pays me a lot of money for it. Like at least $5. What's the phrase for what I'm doing? It's not screaming into the void. Is it presumption of audience? So yeah, if the presumed audience could go ahead and just smash that like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, engage all forms of notification, develop a parasocial relationship with me, as like that one weird friend who keeps telling you strange things that aren't super relevant to your life right now, but are kind of interesting to know, because they make sense without being about something that you care too much about. But I'm just here trying to persuade you that yes, actually, philosophy is very important and you should care about it a lot. Covers your widest abstractions. And after all, how else are you going to know how you know things? I think we might have to regard this as exhausted. Do we want any of the stuff that is in here? We don't even want some of the stuff that's in here. Yeah, that's good. Good enough to be carrying on with. Swap that out there. Okay. Oh, it's nighttime. I'm still seeing that at the top of chat. The one interaction I've gotten all day. The Zolgo text advertisement. That's going to haunt me. Why Zolgo text? Why would you do this? Who on earth hired someone who would want to do that to an advertisement? It's super weird. Zolgo text was barely a meme. It's like Inglip. Does anyone remember Inglip these days? Brothers of the mine, rejoice, sing, sing, sing with me, raise your pick and raise your voice, swing, swing, swing with me, down and down into the deep, who knows what we'll find beneath, diamonds, rubies, gold, and more, hidden in the mountain store, wum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-bum, born underground, grown inside a rocky womb, the earth is our cradle, the mountain shall become our tomb, face us on the battlefield, you will meet your doom. To dig and dig makes us free. Come on, brother, sing with me. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy, diggy hole, diggy, diggy hole. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy, diggy hole, digging a hole. The sunlight will not reach this low, deep, deep in the mine. Never seen the blue moon glow. Dwarves won't climb so high. Fill a glass and down some mead. Stuff your bellies at the feast. Stumble home and fall asleep, dreaming in our mountain keep. Dun 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 dun. Born underground, suckled from a teat of stone, raised in the dark. The safety of our mountain home, skin made of iron, steel in our bones. To dig and dig makes us free. Come on, brother, sing with me. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy, diggy hole, diggy, diggy hole. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy, diggy hole, digging a hole. Born underground, grown inside a rocky womb, the earth is our cradle, the mountain shall become our tomb. Face us on the battlefield, you will meet your doom. To dig and dig makes us free, come on, brother, sing with me. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, diggy, diggy hole. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, digging a hole. Born underground, grown inside a rocky womb, the earth is our cradle, the mountain shall become our tomb. Skin made of iron, steel in our bones, to dig and dig makes us free. Come on, brother, sing with me. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, diggy, diggy hole. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, digging a hole. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, diggy, diggy hole. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy, diggy hole, digging a hole. You're probably gonna hear that one again. It's gonna survive a million years, or at least for as long as people remember this game. I was really into Shadow of Israfel when it was still airing. I got into the Technic Pack just because of the Yogscast. I stopped playing for a while, from I'd say around 2014 to 2018. Actually, you know what? No, it's probably longer than that. From about 2015 to 2019. And even then, if I played much at all during 2019, it was pretty scarce stuff. I'd still occasionally watch videos from Mumbo Jumbo. I had to do that anytime I... Oh, no, hold on, I tell a lie. I played a little bit during 2017 to 2000... Yeah, 2017-ish. I was on some kind of survival multiplayer server. But it was like one of the big public ones. And for the life of me, I can't remember which one it was now. I don't think anyone made videos on it. And it was like a spiritual successor to one I had played on previously. The one... that was... Yeah, the first one that I played on was, like, back in 2014. It was... Oh, that's the Illagers I'm hearing. My invasion tunnel is probably getting pretty close here. That's what this is. It's an invasion tunnel. We're gonna bore up through the hill. I don't have a bucket of water. That would have been a good thing to bring. Always keep arson in your back pocket as an option, kids. You never know when you have to burn down the outlaws' encampment. Or, you know, the government checkpost if you're living in a crapsack dystopia type situation. There she blows. It might be an interesting way to modify the challenge of this game if you permitted hostile mobs to detect blocks being broken. I suspect that is at least partially what the cave update is about. They've got those, what are they, no, not the Guardians, the Warden. The Warden who can detect sound. mean, I don't think the warden can break blocks, though. I don't have an angle of attack. What do I do, chat? It's still just me and the spam bot! Dang. How am I gonna get out of this one? We'll undermine their walls and look for a better angle. This is peak PvE gameplay, chat. Oh, hey. Oh, pro tip. Thanks for that, T-Mech. Good to know. Alright. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? He was right there and shooting at me a moment ago. Oh. Did he come through the door? Is that how this works? Well, you know what that means. Yeah, ninja pillager. Sure thing. Oh, jeez. They got me outnumbered, T-Mech. They got me outnumbered! I mean, that was always going to be the case, but still. They've got me outnumbered and they've got me outgunned. Oh, hi there. No, T-Mech, I have not tried repeatedly stabbing them. Oh my god, T-Mech, it's working! Stabbing them repeatedly is working, T-Mech! Oh my god! We're gonna raid your channel, T-Mech! You've been incredibly useful! We're gonna send all our viewers to raid SSMP T-Mech at the end of this stream! T-Mech anti-pillager strats for the win! Ooh, ominous banner. Nice, nice. If I put that in that slot? No. That's just holding it off in my offhand. It doesn't equip it to me. I wasn't actually going after Bad Omen. It just sort of happened. I found this place and thought, there might be something useful in there. There is one loot chest at the top. It is normally incredibly mediocre. Duly noted, T-Mech. We will endeavor to get it anyways, because right now, as you can see, my equipment is entirely mediocre. It sounds like it's right up my kind of alley. Okay. I think I have successfully barricaded the ground floor. Which means that I shouldn't be in too much danger of getting stabbed. Yeah. Successfully barricaded the ground floor. There's the outside of my invasion tunnel. There's not stairs that go out the outside of this, is there? You might get 3 strings, a loaf of bread, and a spider eye. Apparently, no, there are not stairs that go up the outside of this. We're not taking any chances. Cool. Well, we've got enough string for a couple of bows now, which is good. I'm not going to complain about logs. And we've also got a better view. And we can see that sucker down there now. Although he did just despawn. Or teleport, maybe. Interesting conundrum. Well, no time like the present. I don't think there's going to be too much profit in staying here much longer. Retreat! Fall back, men! We're in over our heads! Get rid of that. I have no idea if that's whatever music that is, T-Mech. I spend so much time out of my entire life so far listening to music that sometimes it just happens automatically now. I start whistling through my teeth, or Lord knows what else. It is a heavy burden to bear. So, useful learning experience. Apparently the loot from outposts is, in fact, just as mediocre as T-Mech said. And in about 27 minutes, it will have been... Oh, Dunk! He's there! Okay. New plan. Okay, so the real use is to farm Bad Omen. Good to know. They've seen me. Need to pick a direction. We need to pick a direction where there are as few of them as possible, and then run like stink. Or, you know, first wait out a little bit. Yeah, I gotta say, T-Mac, having you here, I feel a lot more reticent about sharing the large number of anecdotes, stories, and random yammerings that I was keeping up in a steady stream before you showed up. So congratulations! As soon as I have an audience that consists of people I know, I feel a lot more self-conscious. Weird how it was so much easier to talk when it was just me and the spam robot. Like it! They're still after me! I don't want to go into the taiga. It's dark, and there's no food there. Yeah, normally it would get better when there's an audience to bounce off, but the problem is I know you. I know your personality. You're not just a voice in my head like Technoblade's audience is. You're somebody I know who has a persistent interaction with me. If I make an ass of myself, you can keep bringing it up. And it won't be just like, ah, shut up, chat. Your mama buys you Mega Bloks instead of Legos. V Rainbow chat? I don't get it. Hello, B. Oh yeah, I got Frostwalker boots. How you like these bananas? Yeah, I was thinking about that. I remember one of Technoblade's anecdotes. He mentions how he has like a relative that's into the Warhammer 40k. And so when Blood for the Blood God started trending on Twitter because of something he's done, and all the 40k guys, including his relative, were like, "Why are we trending? Why are we trending?" You fools. Your nihilistic universe, where there is only war, is no match for one piggy boy. Yeah, so it turns out the peak audience retention I ever got was because they were here to see James. Minecraft is pretty much 40k, let's be real. I mean, only if you buy into MatPat's post-apocalyptic, the Endermen were the original builders, the Drown had their own civilization back when everything was cool kind of situation. And I mean, if you really want to start reading into a narrative that is entirely created by world-building elements, I guess I can see it. Personally, if I were going to construct a narrative, if I were going to construct a narrative, I would write a novel instead of world building a video game so hard. Does James have an actual online presence? Yes, James Lead Von E is the author of the well-known Harry Potter fanfiction called Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches. And I've been his friend long enough that I am probably sitting on a small mountain of spoilers. And I've been sworn to secrecy on that. But who knows, audience? If you keep watching, maybe I'll leak something by complete accident. I won't, but, you know, still. You can always have hope. I'm thinking that at a certain point, if I don't find better resources, it just starts to make more sense to purposely try and get in the nether. Get those scarce resources. The real Horcruxes were the friends we made along the way. Jeez, I hope not. That would imply that our friends are A-okay with having our souls bonded onto them by the power of murder. Those don't sound like people I want to be friends with, T-Mac. Man, I hope this isn't like a single-ended cave that just dead ends at the end of this lava flow. Oh, hey. It's a slimy boy. I'm sorry, Gary! Don't really need too much more iron at this point. Oh. Oh, that's not good. I definitely intended to kill that creeper using the other creeper. 100% planned. Out of interest, am I still speedrunning? I'm choosing to continue to characterize this as a completion hobble, not a speedrun. I looked up the stats on speedrunning, and it simultaneously looks like... It simultaneously... It simultaneously looks like the bar for getting in there might either be lower or higher than I was originally thinking. What is it? The people in the top 100 speedrunning times for the Minecraft 1.15 and earlier, they all have times under half an hour, I want to say? No, sorry. For the top 100, or I guess the top 500, you're looking at times under 1 hour. And for the top one... Jeez, what is it? Okay, look, the important number that I remember is that, the important number I remember is that in order to steal time slot number 69, The time slot for number 69 is you'd have to beat 39 minutes 40 seconds, and you have to get over 38 minutes 45 seconds. So there's a 1 minute window that you need to be able to exactly nail. And I'm seriously considering that once I know I can beat the game in, say, under 2 hours, or, you know, once I know I can beat the game at all, then we focus on getting under 2 hours, then we focus on getting under an hour, and then we aim for threading the needle on that 38:45 to 39:40 window. We'll do it for the meme, T-Mech. Well, I'll do it for the meme. Our far more completionist run will be... Yeah. Yeah, the true speedrunning approach would be to get iron and go to the nether directly. However, the reason I have not done that yet, that's what I was trying to grasp at. The reason I have not done that yet is because the last couple times I have tried that, I've ended up finding areas where I could farm the resources I need, blaze rods and ender pearls. But invariably, what ended up happening after that is that I'd get a bit more than halfway done on either of those resources, and then something I wasn't expecting would happen and I would die. Also, you know, I haven't seen standing lava pool in a while, so it's not like I can go directly to the nether at any point, even if I wasn't feeling slightly hesitant about it on this run. So going full enchant... I'm not certain I need to go full enchanted diamond. That would require me to probably spend time at the bottoms of ravines. And, well, you saw my last attempt to live at the bottom of a ravine. It did not end well for me. Also, you know, it's currently just about noon, and I've been at this for... Well, I've been at this world for coming up on 2 hours, so I might decide to call shenanigans on myself and declare that the worlds end either when I die or after 2 hours of no results. That might help to focus my training so that I don't end up allowing myself to become attached to side goals. Not strictly speaking speedrunning, but at the same time, not allowing myself to be burdened by technically unnecessary side goals. Because you're right, I probably should have been heading to the nether by this point. I have survived, but at the cost of my dignity and my time. I'm mumping around the overworld like a scared little forest elf. Oh, hey! T-Mac, as my follower, do you... did you have to opt in to see when I go live? Or to be notified when I go live, rather? Because I'm pretty sure somewhere in a Twitch menu I remember seeing that your followers have to opt in to being notified when you go live. Gotcha. Alright. I'm gonna say that's it for this stream. I've survived, but I have not completed the game. And, as a consequence of taking so much time to lollygag, I've survived, but with no achievement. So thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Leave a comment, like this video, hate this video, generate engagement, give me your firstborn children. And I'll see you next time.